According to a Garchild study, 88% of teenagers have said that they have seen someone be mean or cruel to someone on social media networks. In this day and age, social media has devolved into a massive forum in which one can be easily exposed to negative comments and hysteria that can have adverse effects towards their mental health. Hello, my name is Bamgbelu, and in today's presentation, I'll be presenting my product and solution to mitigate this problem, and I'll explain the progress I've made so far on my product. So first we must begin with the problem. In its most rudimentary form, the problem is that there's a mass amount of negativity being spread or uploaded to social media networks on a daily or even minute basis. Whilst my solution would not be to completely abscond away from social media platforms, a report by the American Psychological Association reports that from 2009 to 2017, the years in which social media platforms were able to acquire their mass notoriety, most notably the start of Instagram and Twitter, depression rates amongst children and, young adults and teenagers has risen to over 63%, an unprecedented number unrivaled by any of the previous years. Furthermore, this is further reinforced by more than 1/3 of American adults believing, according to this study, that social media is more harmful than beneficial. I believe that this is mainly due to reliance on manual moderation. Now allow me to elaborate. Manual moderation is a technique used by social media corporations to moderate their content. This entails hiring people to manually moderate their content, which requires them to look through it and individually moderate and decide whether it applies to terms of service or it is suitable for the platform. This has been shown to be very inefficient, timely, and not financially efficient as well, as can be seen with international soccer star Thierry Henry, who recently quit social media because of the lack of regulation, leading to mass amounts of bullying and racism that he experienced. Now on to my solution. My solution would be a web application that makes it easier for social media moderators and users to monitor their sentiment or the sentiment of their social media platform. So it would have Twitter and regular text functionality. What this would do is allow it to have more versatility so that it can be used with various different social media networks. As can be seen here, we have what does the average Facebook or content moderator do, and you can see that they're still very much reliant on manual moderation, and they don't get paid a lot, and they have to endure billions of hours of content with only a small base of workers. So here's the progress I've made so far. So far, I've made a minimum viable product. In the business world, this would be referred to this would be the equivalent of a prototype that shows off the basic functionalities of my program and allows me to show off what it actually does. I've also added a styling to give it a cosmopolitan and modern look, as well as fully programmed it without the use of free programming free website builder websites. This is because I had to build a backend to analyze or to use the machine learning techniques to analyze the text. As can be seen here, we have an enter some text, and then once the user clicks on the generate sentiment button, then they are greeted with a sentiment result that tells them the sentiment of their text. Here's the local version. This is an enlarged version of the minimum viable product. And now we have our obstacles. So far, I've had obstacles in deployment. Now let me elaborate. Deployment is the process in which I take my program, as can be seen with the diagram, from my local computer, and I put it onto a web server so that people all around the world can view my product. The problems I've had is that I programmed my product using a Python code base instead of a JavaScript code base. Now let me elaborate on this problem. To give an analogy to make it easy to understand, JavaScript does not require its programmers to record the apps that it used to create their product, whereas Python does. And I have not adhered to this, so I have to work on fixing that so that I can deploy properly. Some other things I have to do is I have to add Twitter functionality, and I also have to fully deploy it, which would entail me resolving the aforementioned problem. Now, we have our Expo presentation plan. For my Expo presentation, I plan to use Heroku deployment in order to deploy my product. This would allow everyone around the world to view it through a simple web link. Additionally, I would also like to elaborate more on content moderation, the correlation between content moderation from the side of the workers, from the perspective of the workers, and mental health. Realistically, I would provide more visual aid to quantify the extent to which social media, content moderation, and mental health are correlated, and the effects that social media could have on these content moderators' mental health and the users' mental health. As can be seen with here, there's an acute interest shown in the effects of social media on the users, but not so much on the content moderators, which I plan to focus on during my Expo presentation. Now we have our final remarks. For our final remarks, I would like to refer back to the aforementioned statistic I mentioned during the beginning of my presentation. 88% of teenagers say that they have experienced some sort of hate or negativity on social media, and through my product, I hope and I will attempt to reduce this. Thank you for listening.